The Vera and Thomas Show. 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 Let's talk about it. 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 On the Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Hello. If my lighting seems a little bit off, it's because my ring light totally went out just before the show was about to start. I mean, within seconds before the show was about to start. So we'll have to go with the lighting that we have. It is what it is. And let me pull up my guests. How are you, Jenn?
Hi, Vera. You look lovely to me.
Oh, well, thank you. The lighting is really not what it should be. However, the show must continue, right? So
Yes.
the first thing I'm going to do is pull up your bio and share a little bit with our audience about Jenn Haston.
Well, my name is Jenn Haston.
Hastings. Oh, what did I? Okay. Thank you for correcting me. Jenn Haston. She is a passionate parent who speaks to organizations and individuals about balancing the unpredictability of life and work. She has written a children's book that will be released next year. We're going to talk about that book. She speaks virtually and in person, and you can connect with her weekly message on Instagram, and I will put the Instagram link up so that people can connect. And she has, as I said, she's written a children's book on body positivity, which is so important, and hoping to publish it. And it's called You Are Just the Right Size. I love it. We're going to talk about that because body shaming is a major issue with children as well as adults. And so what I'm going to do is give you the floor and have you share more about who you are, what drives you, and what was it that made you have the passion that you have. And while you're doing that, I'm going to try to figure out something here with my lighting. Okay, so go ahead. Take your time.
Oh my goodness. So you're giving me the floor to talk about myself. Well, that's definitely something I love to do. One of the things that I really am passionate about is people finding their bliss, finding their joy, and what that has tended to mean is balance. As we start moving through your work, your life, your parenting life, the different things that you're doing in your life all require you to have a certain level of balance. So part of that means you have to be able to say, okay, yeah, I want to do some self-care, but Jenn, where am I going to fit that in? So something that I have done is started working with people who were struggling to find that balance and struggling to find that time to do self-care. Because I don't know about you, but it's very difficult to find that time when you're working, when you're parenting, when you're partnering. And so it requires a level of intentionality to put yourself out there and say, okay, so before I plan anything else, before I book any meetings, before I figure out where the rest of my day is going, I want to be sure that I have set aside time this week for my self-care. And self-care means so many different things to so many different people. So for one person, it might be a bubble bath. For another person, it might be going to see a movie by themselves. For another person, it might be setting a boundary about saying no to too many things or saying yes to too many things, and then actually taking the time to say, let me breathe in and think about whether I want to say yes to that. And one of the things that I am deeply passionate about is making sure that parents feel like an expert with their kids. Because no matter how many letters somebody has behind their name, no matter how many books they've written, the only person who is a parent on their children, the only person who's an expert on their child is the parent. And that parent doesn't have to be mom or dad. That parent could be a grandmother. That parent could be an adopted parent. There's a lot of different ways that family is formed.
But one thing's for sure is however that parent is formed, they are your child's first teacher. So,
Absolutely.
understanding how critical it is as parents to really be engaged in our children's lives, no matter what that family makeup looks like, it is so important. Let me ask you, what gave you this passion? And how long have you been passionate about parents? I know you have a 7-year-old daughter. So, were you an expert before you had your
Ha,
daughter?
ha. I'm not an expert now. Uh, it's definitely something that every day I learn something different about being a parent. The journey actually started when I was 14 years old. My family of choice, as I like to call it, is my mother of choice. And she found me when I was 14. I was in a very difficult and traumatic childhood. And one of the things that happened is that she saw me, she heard me, and she was able to love me and treat me with love and kindness, even though I was a virtual stranger. And that is a relationship that has truly impacted me deeply to this day in how I parent my own child.
Can I ask you, and I want you, I mean, just share as much as you're willing to share, but what happened between 0 and 14 years?
Well, one of the trauma responses that I have learned about in my therapy is to downplay or say that what happened to you wasn't terrible. And I'm not going to do that. I was neglected by my parents, the people who are my mother and my father, and they were not there to give me emotional love and support. And that was something that left me very lacking. And with my mother of choice finding me at 14, she made all the difference.
How did she find you?
It was a random meeting and she just saw me. I was at an event that a 14-year-old kid had no business being at, and I was going to take the bus home. I'm from New Orleans, and so I was going to take the bus home at 11 o'clock at night, and I'm standing in this group of people, and they all said, "Oh, well, the bus doesn't run after 10 o'clock." And she saw the stark terror on my face. And she said, "You know what? I'm going to give you a ride home because there's no buses that run." And truly, it could have been a much different story if she was not a good person. And the fact that she brought me to my home where I had to bang on my door for my mother to let me in because she didn't realize I had left for the evening. That gives you a little bit of a clue as to what I was facing.
Where was your father?
He was also emotionally neglectful. They were divorced. I was living with her, and then I was living with him. It was a yo-yo situation.
And you know, when we talk about parental styles and neglectful parents damage your kids, and you are an example of having a neglectful parent in the home. And I know of situations where that were the case. And now, even now, thank God you had someone come to your rescue, because when children are left to fend for themselves, which what happened with you, all kinds of things can happen. They can fall into all kinds of situations. And so being able to recognize as a parent the impact, sometimes what I found with my experience with someone who was a neglectful parent, not my personal parents, but someone that I knew that was a neglectful parent, their children literally fended for themselves and was looking for love in all the wrong places and became involved in drugs and prostitution and all kinds of other things, looking for love in the wrong places.
Mm-hmm.
And even as grown adults, the situation is still a direct result of that neglect that they experience. And thank God someone came to your rescue to remove you from those possibilities.
The wounds run deep. As you
Yes,
were mentioning, it can impact you well out of adulthood. Handling your own life and getting help and making sure that there's someone there who actually cares.
yes,
I think that's one of the things that I have come to realize matters more than anything else was the steadfast being there. Because it's easy to take that for granted until you don't have it.
right. Well, let me ask you, when this lady took you on and decided to allow you to be raised by her, how did your parents relate to that?
Well, that story is something that unfolded over years because while she was in my life, I didn't actually recognize her as a mother until many years later. She was a very powerful and strong influence in my life as a friend for probably about 14 years before I
Wow.
actually realized, oh, this is a motherhood daughter relationship. Because what did I have to compare it to? So it was truly wonderful, and it took me a very long time before I trusted that she would truly be there no matter what. No matter what I told her, no matter what I told her I did, because I did some really stupid stuff, because like everybody does, because your cerebral cortex, your frontal cortex is not fully formed, so you make some really stupid choices. And she loved me through it all.
Wow. God was watching over you. God was watching over you. And so now, as a result of being a mother, having experienced what you experienced, you know how important it is to be engaged in your daughter's life. And I had the honor of meeting your daughter just a few minutes ago, and she's such a happy child. You can feel her love and happiness. You can feel it.
Oh,
That is
thank
just
you.
so, you can feel it. And I mean, that's real. That's awesome. That
That's
is
all you look
awesome.
for as a parent, right? To know that your kid feels happy.
Yes.
Although it's definitely something that we work on constantly. Um, the way I would put that is that you have your own work to do, right? Because as we have children, we understand I have things I need to unpack that have nothing to do with her that
Yes.
could impact her.
Yes.
So that's why I had to go to therapy and still in
Yes.
therapy. It's really funny too because I had to work through my whole I don't want anyone to know I'm in therapy stuff. And then I realized everybody needs mental health. It's like air.
It
So,
is. And I mean, let's talk about that, because there's often, and this is Mental Health Month, and I'm a part of a conference that's coming up that I will share more about. But there's such a stigma to mental health when in actuality, I would venture to say everybody in this country
could stand with some therapy.
could use some kind of reflection,
Yes, I totally
because
agree.
we've all been through stuff, you
I
know.
think one of the benefits to come through a truly horrible time is that everyone has gotten more transparent about their struggle since the pandemic. You will see it all the time. Someone will say, I'm having a low day, send me a picture of this. I'm having a rough day, my brain is being not kind to me, and it's all part and parcel of that. Something that I really enjoy that I did not coin, Dr. Christine Miserandino talks about spoons in terms of chronic illness. And to encapsulate not having enough spoons as you wake up with a certain amount of spoons every day. You don't know how many spoons there are, but you have certain things that you can control, like getting enough sleep, taking your medication, and to help you get through the day. And so I have used that, with her permission, to talk about when you are a human in the world and you run out of spoons because you haven't had enough sleep, you haven't drunk enough water, you're not eating well, you're not exercising, all the stuff that we know we need to do. So the spoons is something where you need to figure out how you're going to respoon. And respoon can also be mental health. I need to make an appointment with my therapist because I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. I can't see my therapist right now, but I can make an appointment and I can be intentional about getting that aspect of my mental health in order.
Yes, and a lot of times, again, as you said, a lot of times as parents, we have our own unresolved issues and our own baggage that we're bringing into parenting that can truly impact on our children. And for you to recognize that, and that's, as a coach, even though I'm not a therapist, but as a coach, I try to help people recognize and look at those things that they need to really address
Mm-hmm.
from their past
Mm-hmm.
so that it does not impact on their children. And this is such an important topic. And you talk about balancing, and I know I derailed you
That is
from that
okay.
from that conversation, but
Okay.
we had to come to and talk about what we were talking about just now, and we can come back to the balancing and being able to help recognize that even as a parent, not even as, but as a parent, we that self-care is so important, and being able to recognize that there are things that we need to do for ourselves in order to be better parents
Yes.
to our
And
children.
what I want to add to that, Vera, if you will let me, it's caregiver, because we want to make sure we're not just saying parents, because there are caregivers who are as much a parent as anybody with a label.
I know. And I was a caregiver from both my sisters were diagnosed with cancer at the same time. And so I understand that caregiver situation and how stressful that can be sometimes, and being able to regroup, rejuvenate, and refill yourself is
Mm-hmm.
very important.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So whether you're a parent or a caregiver, and whether you're caregiving for your parents
Yeah.
while you're trying to parent, or if it's another family member, or if it's another relative, or another, even a friend,
Mm-hmm.
and you're there for them,
Mm-hmm.
making sure you replenish yourself is
Yeah.
so important. So,
We hear it
what?
from the flight attendants all the time, right? Put your oxygen mask on first. Then you can help your child.
Absolutely. And that is such a awesome analogy that a lot of people are saying these days. It's like, take that advice. You can't give what you don't have. And if something happens to you and you're supposed to be the caregiver, then what happens? So you have to concentrate on, and it's not being selfish. Not at all. Not at all. You have to be able to replenish yourself in order to give more. So let's talk about some of, and I'm going to put these things in the chat. I want you to share some tips that parents and or caregivers can consider when looking at self-care?
Okay. So to start that list, the first thing I will say is that as the boss of balance, I do not have this on lockdown. I am figuring this out with you. That's why I do a weekly message. That's where you can find it on Wednesday mornings. And one of the things I talk about is how to find that balance and what it is that you can do. Starting out with being intentional and starting your week out. So, for instance, today is Tuesday. Whenever you watch this, look at your calendar and set up a date for yourself the next week. And I'm not saying the whole day because that feels a little bit too much, right? If you're not putting time in there for you, you have to start small. So do
10
5 minutes
minutes.
on the calendar, five
Okay.
minutes,
Five.
and then build up.
I said at least 10.
Yes. But I have told people 10, they say, Jen, I don't have that time. Okay, let's
Okay.
start with five
Okay.
and build.
Let's start with 5. Okay. So 5 minutes.
5 minutes. I
Out
like to
of.
call it executive space because it means that you're thinking about the things that you have to do and you're planning out what you're looking for. So that means whatever it is you're doing in your household, whatever you're doing your work, whatever it is you're doing outside of work, you can take a couple minutes and plan that out. And it's a commitment to yourself to give yourself some self-care because self-care is not selfish, it is self-full.
Okay. I'm going to say I need to. Okay. So self care is not selfish. It is what?
Self-full. You're filling yourself up.
You are filling yourself up to pour into others with less stress. Okay. All right. I thought I'd add to what you're saying. Okay. All right. Next.
Okay, so then my next tip for finding your space is look at your life. What can you say no to?
And
What can you edit?
let's talk about that because so often, oh, what happened? So often people find it very difficult to say no. So
Yes, they
let's talk about
do.
that.
Let's
Let's talk
unpack that.
about
Let's
that.
unpack that. Let's unpack that.
Yes.
So, where does that come from? Are you afraid to say no because the person's going to not like you? Are you afraid to say no because you're going to upset somebody? Are you afraid to say no? There's a myriad of reasons about why you're afraid to say no. Do yourself this favor. The next time somebody asks you to do something, literally take a breath.
And if you don't want to do it,
Don't do it.
say no. Because
Say
what
no.
happens is we end up doing something we don't want to do
And we're
because we have.
resentful and
Yes.
we're very upset and we don't really enjoy what we're doing and the people around us don't enjoy being around us when we do this thing that we said that we were going to do. So
That we
really we might
didn't
as well
want
have
to
said no
do.
in the first place. So really it's better to just examine. And so many of us don't do that. Like how many of us have apps that tell us to take a breath in the middle of the day? How
The,
many of us ignore that and keep going?
let's talk about that for a minute. Breathing is so. I know people say, "Well, we breathe anyway." No, deep breathing is so important because it helps you to de-stress. It, I mean, take throughout the course of your day when you're feeling anxious or you're feeling stressed or you're feeling worried, which is such a debilitating thing. If you're feeling those ways, take deep breaths. Breathe in and hold it. Count to 5 and breathe out.
Let's do it now. It's so important. Anybody watching this, let's take just a minute and do it right now. Vera, lead me to it. Let's do it.
All right, breathe in, hold it, count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out. And as you're breathing out, feel all the tension leave your body. Feel all the tension from your shoulders down to your feet. All that tension is just relieving your body. I'm telling you, that is amazing. And if you do it 3 times at a time, you're going to feel a whole lot better. You're going to be able to see clearer, feel clearer, think clearer. I'm telling you, it works. Okay. All right. I need to go to a commercial. So I am enjoying you. I really am, Jenn.
Me too.
Yes.
This is so fun.
Yes. Let me go to a commercial right quick.
Gotta pay the bills.
Gotta pay the bills. So I just gotta figure out which one. Okay, I'm gonna do this.
Mama Knows creates high quality products that are available to be used on multiple textures of hair. Her goal is to bridge the gap to stop people from having to use multiple products because of families with multiple hair types. Her products are currently being used on men, women, children of all ethnicities. Mama Knows products are available at www.mamaknowsproducts.com. That's www.mamaknowsproducts.com. You can also find her on Instagram at Mama Knows Products because, Mama knows what you need.
Mama knows what you need. These products are awesome. They smell great. We're talking shampoos, conditioners, hair serums, and they're for all ethnicities. They're for boys, girls, and adults, men and women. They are awesome. So check out mamaknowsproducts.com because Mama knows what you need. All right. Now, I'm going to do another one right quick, and then we will be right back. Let me find it. And, okay, here we go. Joy 365 is a devotional for joy restoration. The beauty is she will have 365 authors writing in this devotional book. And I think she may still have a couple of spaces available. So if you are interested in writing to help uplift, motivate, inspire, and encourage someone who may be feeling down, join Joy 365, the Joy Restoration Devotional. Contact Vanessa Blackwell at vrblackwell@gmail.com. And that's Vanessa Blackwell at vrblackwell@gmail.com. Help lift someone else with your devotional story. All right, all right, all right. Now, back to us. And let me ask you, so how long have you been a speaker and a coach and a trainer and a
15 years.
15? You don't look that. Oh, yes.
I promise it's true.
Okay, 15 years. Okay, let's talk about this book that you have, because it's body shaming is a major issue, and especially even growing up myself, being bullied and having people say that big fat ugly girl, and how it made me feel. I mean, to the point where I went on a starvation diet and lost all this weight, because I was walking behind a group of guys, one of which I had a crush on, and they didn't know I was behind them. And one of them said, "Man, did you know Vera liked you?" And he said, "That big fat ugly girl." Oh man, it was so devastating.
No
So
doubt.
your book is going to help a lot of kids.
Yes.
So talk
One of the
about your book.
reasons, well, first it started with my own child. I wanted to be very cognizant of how I spoke about my body, how I spoke about her body, and the when she first was born, everyone had so many different comments about the chunky, chubby, fat cheeks, big old legs, and well-meaning comments. I'm a new mom. I'm stressing about everything, and I just got so upset about it. And I said, you know what? This is ridiculous, because the thing is that you are talking about my child being fat, and I'm not okay with that. You're going to body shame a child. Like, what is that about? Why would we ever do that? And every single thing, books, TVs, magazines, movies, everything is showing this ideal of what we have to be. And it's absolute crap. Because the
Say
truth
that
is,
again. Say it again.
it's
It's crap.
absolute crap. Because there are children right now, and it just makes me sick to my stomach, that there are children right now between the ages of 2 and 4 that have body issues already. That is unacceptable, and that is something we can change. That is one of the reasons I wrote this book.
I want to talk about that for a minute, though. A lot of reasons why the obesity is as it is because of the foods that we're eating and our diets. And if parents are, focused more on fast food rather than cooking for their children and giving them vegetables and baking their foods instead of going to the fast food because it's easier and quicker, and studies have shown diabetes among children
Yes.
has escalated because of our diets.
Yes. And listen, I am not averse to going to the fast food every once in a while, right? Like, it happens. You're in a hurry, you gotta do it. But it's also how you talk to your kids about it too. It's like, hey, this is out of the norm for us. We're not going to eat out every day. We're not going to eat fast food every day, because, it used to be that it was cheaper. But I don't know about you if you've checked lately, but it's not cheap to do fast food
No,
anymore.
it's not. No,
It
it's
is
not.
not. And so
No,
you
it's
might as
not.
well make a meal out of something. And, I have some friends of mine, we talk a lot about food planning, and a big piece of that is have stuff ready to go. So, like, you cook the chicken ahead of time, add the rice, add the quinoa, add the vegetables, because there's all different types of things you can do. You can look up recipes on Pinterest, and ChatGPT is a big thing now. You can do an entire meal plan just saying, hey, I've got chicken, I've got this, I've got this. What should I make? I'll give you a whole recipe.
Yes, I'm telling you, I love Chat GPT. I just got into it, but it is amazing. But anyway, our diets, we
Yeah,
need
we
to
got to get
really,
back to that.
I mean, really, we really do, and that's not to
Shame anybody.
minimize,
That's not to
right?
shame anybody. And that's one of the things that I say to her and anybody who I hear saying things about their body, like, oh, I'm so fat. It's like, you know what? You're just the right size. You're just the right size. That shirt may not fit you, and you're just the right size. Because it's important to always feel like, you know what? That doesn't preclude you from losing pounds if you want to. It doesn't preclude you from gaining weight if you want to, because sometimes people are, they're skinny and then they get tagged for that too. So it's
Yes.
like you can't win. It's like you're on this side or this side. It doesn't matter. You're not perfect. You're not the magazine. You're not the movie. Again, I say to you, it is crap. And it's some ideal that somebody said at one point, this is what we have to do and this is what we have to be. Who says? Who says?
Absolutely. 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 And don't compare yourself. Don't, because
Comparison
every
is the
single
thief of
time,
joy.
every
Comparison is the thief of joy every single time.
every single time we compare ourselves, we always fall short. The only person you need to compare yourself to is yourself. Be the best version of yourself. Appreciate who you are and whose you are. And know that God didn't make junk, and you are wonderfully and fearfully made. You were designed with purpose. All right, I'm not here to preach. So, yes, we need to understand. We need to understand. So, okay. So, tell me more about what it is that you're doing and what you do.
Well, one of the things that I've been doing lately is working on the book. I've also got an event that I'm doing in November about how to get more life out of your life. And I'll post that Eventbrite as soon as I've got that noted. It's going to be question and answers. So, kind of like this, where people are asking for tips and tricks. And this is something you can do. And that's something I'm working on right now. And I've got another presentation I'm working on for a company that I signed an NDA with, so I can't talk about who they are. And that's okay. But that's something I'm working on because we're talking through work-life balance options.
Oh, awesome. Because work life balance, and when you consider a job is 1/3 of your life, 1/3. And if you're out of sync on your job or if you're having issues on your job, it can impact on how you eat, how you sleep, how you relate to yourself, and how you relate to your family and other people. So that work-life balance is very important. Very important. And not only the work-life balance, but making sure that whatever work you're doing it as if, and this is scripture, as if you're doing it unto God. And when you think of it in those terms, then you're going to be the best version of yourself even on your job. And if it's something that you don't like doing, then you might want to think about that and look at, okay, I hate this job. And I'm convinced if you hate your job, you hate your life. It's as simple as
Especially
that.
if you're spending a third of your life doing it and you don't like it, you should think about that and get some help. And I don't want to look at this lightly because there are people all over the country that are looking for jobs right now. They're looking for work because they've been laid off from their jobs. And I don't want it to seem like I'm saying, oh, well, just put some self-care in there. It's a process. And it's not something that you're going to figure out overnight. It's an ongoing discussion with yourself, with your partner, with the people who help you in your community. And the biggest thing is making sure if you need help to ask for it. And I know that's hard. I know that's hard. And it's the only way to get help is to ask for it.
Yes. And I, look at what is it, what kinds of things do I enjoy doing? What are my hobbies? What are my interests? What is my personality type? All of these things can help you determine the best type of work for you. I used to do career development, and I remember I had a young lady that came, and she was one of my clients, and she was like, well, I want to work in the medical field, but I don't like people.
What'd you tell her?
Then you need to explore some other options, clearly. Because and what sure enough, as a result of testing and doing assessments, looking at things based on her interests, her values, her hobbies, her personality type, she was a creative type person, and she ended up getting training in CAD, computerized,
Yeah.
yeah, in
Automation
CAD,
design. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
CAD design,
Wonderful.
and she loved it.
Yeah.
And she could work by herself. She didn't have to deal with people. She loved it. So being able to identify the best type of work for you based on who you are and what you enjoy.
That
And
means
that's
you have
how,
to know yourself. That means that you have to know what you are excited about, what you are not excited about, and understand what you will put up with and what you will not put up with at a job.
absolutely. That's a whole
Other podcasts.
that's a whole nother show. And that also has to do with saying yes and no.
Yep.
If you're asked to do something and it goes against your principles, it goes against your grain, it goes against the fiber of your being and existence, then it's time to say no.
Absolutely.
It's time to say no.
Easier
And
said than done. It takes practice. So start saying no to things that are low stakes.
absolutely, if you don't want to watch that movie, say no.
Don't watch that movie.
If you don't want to go out with everybody else, say no.
So no.
Yeah, just say no. Just
Yep.
say no. Okay. So, all right. And I want to, right quick, share with you a couple of things that are going on. There is a mental health conference coming up on September 29th. I am honored to be one of the speakers. This is the QR code where you can actually take a screenshot and register on Eventbrite for this event. And again, it is the mental health workshop or conference by Raul Maharaj. I think I said it right. Anyway, he is the visionary for this. It is going to be very impactful. You're going to hear stories of how people overcame and how they were able to survive a lot of different things that have happened in their lives. So again, that workshop or that event is on September 29th. This is the QR code, and you can sign up in that way. Also, on October 14th and 15th, that's the wrong one. This is for on October 14th and 15th, I am doing a workshop for parents and their children between the ages of 8 to 13 and addressing the issue of bullying. We're looking at the bully and how they can be transformed. We're looking at the victim and how they can be empowered to use their power, and also the bystander. How can I gain courage to speak up and speak out and help be an ally for someone when I see them bullied? That workshop is coming up, and this is actually the QR code for it. So by all means, consider registering if you are a parent with children 8 to 13 years old. I also want to, there's a commercial that I want to do right quick regarding Chatbridge. So let me do that right quick, and then we'll be back to wrap up some things that we have been talking about. Okay, here it is.
Let me introduce you to Chatbridge. It's a revolutionary new solution for getting great results from your online networking. Today, online networking has become the standard for millions of professionals. However, getting results from your meetings can be a daunting task. But now that challenge has been solved. Everyone knows how hard virtual meeting follow-up is. You go to an online meeting where at the end, people say save the chat to follow up. And now you have a nearly unusable and ugly chat text file to work with. You can now say goodbye to the hassles of downloaded Zoom-type chat records. For the first time, with the introduction of this new ChatBridge tool, you have a simple system to easily import, search, review, follow up, and find opportunities with the people you meet in all of your virtual networking meetings. And we also made it easy to archive all of your chat files and information on the people you met networking for future use. And it doesn't stop there. With ChatBridge, when you select people to follow up with, you can view their exact posts and even click into their website, LinkedIn profile, or Facebook page if they shared it. Then you can import your selected contacts into the powerful EngagePro system or export your contacts to your CRM, email tool, or autoresponder. Following up and getting great results from online networking is now easy and just a click away. Experience the power of the new ChatBridge, and you'll quickly see how to find new clients, get more referrals, speaking opportunities, and JV partners. There's nothing like it. Find out now how economical and easy it is to get the results you want from online networking at chatbridgeconnect.com.
I'm telling you, there is nothing like this. If you do networking meetings like our speakers speak, I'm able to just, you know how much information we get from everybody? I'm able to just with one click capture all that information, and it's in order. It's organized.
I love that.
Emails, by phone numbers, by websites. Then you need to check out ChatBridge. At the end of this show, I'll give you a link where you can test run it, okay? Anyway, that's ChatBridge. Now, let me ask you, Jenn, what would you say to a parent that is really struggling? I'm going to give you a scenario. You got a child that absolutely hates vegetables, and you want them to eat more vegetables. Every time you cook vegetables or give them even raw vegetables, you know, they're pouting and they're having temper tantrums. How do you deal with that? What's some advice that you would give a parent?
I think, first of all, I think this is a problem that a lot of parents face. In fact, there was somebody I talked to about not too long ago about this, and one of the things that I told her to do was find the vegetable that they will eat. So, for instance, my daughter does not like carrots, and she can choose to eat all the other vegetables, but carrots, she can choose not to eat them. And giving them that control is a big piece of my parenting. It may not work for your family. It works for ours. One of the things, too, is that we give her a choice. We say, do you want to eat before you take your bath or after you take your bath?
Oh, really?
Because either way, you're going to take your bath.
Oh,
And
question. So
yeah,
she doesn't like taking baths?
she loves it.
Oh, okay.
I like giving her choices because it helps her to know what's coming and to be in control. Kids really, really like control. I think adults like control too. And I've definitely seen it where if you can give them control over things that are low stakes, you can help them partner with you on doing it. Now, there are times when they throw it off the floor, they're throwing it on the wall, like they don't want to eat it. There's probably other stuff going on. It's probably not about the carrots. It's probably not about the broccoli. It's probably about something else that's going on. So one of the things that I have done in the past is said, okay, what else is on your plate that we can focus on? So that way they're still eating. And maybe they don't eat the carrots tonight. Try to have them eat it another day. But don't get into the power struggle if you can avoid it.
Okay. Great. Don't get into the power struggle.
If you can avoid
Control.
it.
I
Yeah.
want to talk about control
Sure.
because I find when we do, in fact, give kids responsibilities,
Mhm.
then that's where the control comes in. You know, because they feel like, oh my God, I can do this. My son started vacuuming at 4 years old.
Nice.
He was in the kitchen with me between 8 and 9 years old. He decided to do his own laundry in middle school because he didn't like the way I did it. So it's like, okay, no problem, do it yourself. And he did. But I'm saying that to say, when you give your children responsibilities,
Mhm.
even at an early age, that's where that sense of control comes from
Mhm.
because you're allowing them to take ownership and you're also teaching them responsibility.
Yes. And the autonomy that they feel when you give them a job to do is huge
What's the
because,
what's the job you give your daughter?
well, she helps with the dishes, and we have a deal where I'll do the silverware, if she'll do the top or the bottom, or she'll do the silverware and I'll do the top or the bottom. She helps with the groceries. She helps with her laundry. I don't want to make it out like she puts it in there perfectly.
Of
The
course
laundry
not.
is done. That's all that matters.
You teach her how to separate the colors, though, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
But it started with having her help me put the dishes away. Like, here's a knife, go put that away, right?
A
Like a
butter
blunt
knife.
knife, a butter knife, a butter knife. Let me be clear about that, a butter knife. But that's the other thing too. It's like I'm teaching her how to chop, and it's like, hey, make it flat, and then we're gonna do it with a butter knife first, so you can get the mechanics, and then we'll move to the sharper knife, making sure that you know that the blade is all the way over here. Your hand is all the way over here. So that's a part of the lesson.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And that these things are so important where parents are concerned. Making sure that you give your children responsibilities at an early age so that they can feel empowered.
And it's important to note that it took a while for me to let go of doing everything. And I want to be really honest about that because it took me a long time to say, you know what, she could probably do this. Let me give her a piece of it. Like if she dries the dishes, but I put them away, how does that go? Because like she might put them away differently. Okay, letting go of control, letting go of control, and then give it to her. Because if she puts the dishes in not the exact right place, who
It's
cares?
okay.
Who cares?
Yes, it's okay. You know, I mean, just giving them the responsibility to do it.
The
And
deeper
then
lesson,
saying, and
the
then
deeper
saying,
lesson, the deeper lesson is making sure that they know you trust them to do something.
absolutely. So, parents, allow your kids to accept responsibility for some things in the house. You don't have to do everything. And with me, I was a single mom working full time and going to school. And it was just me and my son. And so he felt so proud being able to do things to help around the house. He loved it. And I did too.
Yeah, the help is there.
The help is there. And even if things weren't done perfect, it's okay. It's okay if it's not done exactly like you might have done it, but they did it. And they felt proud doing it. So don't ever tell your child, you're wrong. You did this wrong. No. You don't want to do that because then they're not going to want to do anything.
And make it a practice to ask your kid, are you proud of you?
Yes. What are you proud about? You know, how is and question your kids. If your kids are having temper tantrums or they're having attitudinal problems or any of the something may be going on in school, something may be going on with one of their friends, you might want to start asking questions. So, tell me about your day today. What did you do today? What was good about your day? What was challenging about your day? How can I help you with those things that were challenging? Talk to your kids. It's so important. All right, Jenn. This has been great. It's just been great having you here. It really has been.
I've enjoyed it so much.
I have too. I have. So I am actually going to give you the floor to give us some nuggets and to have the last word, and then we'll take it from there.
Rest is a right. It's not something that you earn. It's not something that after you do the laundry or after you do the dishes or after you do 85 million things on this list, now you get to rest. No, 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 no. Book an appointment for yourself to rest. That is the number one thing that I coach people on to find balance.
Okay. I'm writing this stuff as you're saying it. Okay. What? Give us. Okay.
Starting with your 5-minute executive space, increase a little bit every day. So maybe the first time you do it for 5 minutes. And you're like, okay, what did I actually do in that 5 minutes? Did I scroll on my phone? Did I actually sit and think? Did I meditate? Did I do anything? Don't judge yourself. You took the time. You're forming the habit. So executive space for 5 minutes. Do it every day. And if you miss a day, just pick it back up the next day. It's about forming the habit. It's not about how good or how long. It's about forming the habit to make the space for you.
Okay.
When you have self-care, do not let anybody tell you what's good self-care or what self-care means, because you get to decide. For me, it's dancing in my living room. And I started out doing a 7-minute dance party, and then I added 2 minutes, and then I added 2 minutes, and I added 2 minutes. And after a couple of months, I was up to 35-minute dance parties.
Wow, by yourself.
Yep. And then I said, you know what? This is not working for me anymore. So now I'm going to find a dance class. And I started taking a ballet class a couple weeks ago.
Did you?
I did. And it's hard, but I love it because it makes me use my brain in a completely different way. And it's not attached to anything else that I do. And I really love the fact that it's just for me.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I remember putting my son in ballet. And I did it because I was very involved in the arts, the cultural arts program in our community. And my friend was the program director, and she was like, well, just put him in a dance. And she put her sons in it too, and none of them liked it, right? He was like, and we tried to convince them, look, football players, they do this so that they can be more agile, you know? Mm-hmm. Well, he didn't like it. But anyway, ballet is awesome. It's awesome. That is great. Well, listen, this has been great. It's been wonderful having you here. We've got to do it again. Thank you so much. And I just want to say to my listening audience, you can read, this is evergreen, so you'll be able to watch it over and over and over again. And I just want to thank my guest, Jenn Haston, for being here. Did I say it right? Haston or Haston?
Haston.
Haston.
Like
okay.
taste, darling. Taste,
okay.
darling.
Okay, gotcha. Well, listen, thank you all. And I just want to say to our listening audience, have a great week. Please consider self-care. What is it that you can do for yourself to relax, to enjoy, to have fun? And it's just all about you. You can't take care of other people if you're not taking care of yourself. Remember that. And let me say it again. You can't take care of other people if you're not taking care of yourself. So God bless you. I love you. And thank you so much for tuning in today. And if you don't mind staying here for a minute as we close out. So bye-bye.
The Vera and Thomas Show. 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 Let's talk about it. 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 On the Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk